Okay, now we're going to run through how to drive the X-Class off-road. First thing to remember, the X-Class is what's called a part-time four-wheel drive. That means in normal on-road mode, it's two-wheel drive only. It's only driving the rear wheels, not the front wheels. So to engage four-wheel drive, there's a turn knob down here. Turn the knob to four-wheel high, and you can do that on the move because you're not changing the speed between the front and rear wheels. All you're doing is engaging the drive to the front wheels. And you'll see now that the four-wheel drive symbol locking front and rear wheels is showing up on the dash. Now we're getting into some more serious terrain where we want to be able to go slower to negotiate either larger, rougher obstacles or just somewhere where we want to turn more tightly. We want to do it at a slower speed. If we're changing the speed, we're going to engage low four-wheel drive, and we need to do this in neutral with the vehicle stationary. You can't do it on the move because we're changing the ratio. Engage neutral, stop the vehicle, push the knob in and turn it round to four low. And now you'll see the low symbol pop up underneath the four-wheel drive on the dash. That's four low. And now we can go much more slowly, and we have a lot more power to turn those wheels and clear the mud. So you can either use standard drive mode, in which case the automatic will select the gears for you, or a much better idea when you're wanting to have more control over the vehicle is to flick it across into shuttle shift, which is effectively driving it like a manual. No clutch, pull the lever down to change down, or push it forward and it will change up. So you can manually control exactly what gear you're in and exactly what revs you want the engine to do. And the vehicle won't suddenly automatically change on you and put you in the wrong gear. This is how I drive the vehicle off-road, anywhere tricky, always in shuttle shift manual mode. In fact, sometimes for on-road driving I do that as well. So not only is shuttle shift much better going uphill because I can select exactly what gear I want to keep the revs and the right range compared with my ground speed. But when we turn around and come downhill, by manually selecting the gear, you can use the engine braking of the truck to slow you down instead of the brakes, which is a much safer way of going down a hill. Here you can see I've selected first. I'm not even touching the brakes now. The engine is slowing the vehicle down using all four wheels so that none of those wheels suddenly break loose and the vehicle takes off. And then if it is a bit slippery and suddenly the vehicle takes off anyway, you can whack it up a gear into second and try and keep up with your skid. You always want to go downhill at the speed that the tyres can maintain traction. Don't try and go slower, otherwise the traction will break and the vehicle will take off just as if you had applied the brakes. You need to stay at the right speed to keep up with your skid so you've got steerage and you can keep in control. So most modern four-wheel drives have some form of downhill descent control. This is an electronic feature that controls the amount of braking so you don't over-brake and force the vehicle to take off on a skid. In this case, you push the button down here next to the diff lock and you'll see it's engaged the downhill descent control, and now I'm doing nothing. It's doing it all itself. I've got both feet off the brake or the accelerator. It's keeping us going at a nice constant speed that it feels is about right. Another essential feature of the X-Class, which other four-wheel drives don't allow you to do, is left foot braking. This is whether you're driving with your right foot on the accelerator as normal, but you're using your left foot on the brake at the same time. Now what this allows you to do is hold some revs without the vehicle taking off on you. Normally if you put some revs on the accelerator, the vehicle's going to want to go forward. Apply some left foot brake at the same time and I'm holding the vehicle there like that. But I've got revs up around 1500, I can get up to 2000 revs without the vehicle moving. Now, this is essential in a situation where you're wanting to go very slowly, negotiating some up and down sort of obstacles where you'd go very slowly up them and suddenly lurch off and race down the other side if you aren't able to use your left foot on the brake. So in this situation here, we're trying to climb up a bit of a bank and we don't want to race up it and smash the front quarter, so we can just hold some revs, ease the brake off a little bit while we're applying a little bit of throttle. You're just feathering the two, getting the balance just right to control your speed nice and slow. It's one of the big advantages of driving an automatic off-road is being able to left foot brake. You cannot do that with a manual, and a lot of auto four-wheel drives won't allow you to do it either. The minute you touch the brake and the accelerator at the same time, they cut the throttle on you. Treacherous. Mercedes, the X-Class, they've got it bang on. Another feature is the rear diff lock. Now this is for use in situations where you're going to have variable weight from one side of the vehicle to the other, and therefore variable traction. What it does is it locks the two rear wheels together so they drive equally at the same time. So in a situation like this here, where we're going to quarter up a very steep bank, and you'll see now suddenly we've got no weight on the upper wheel on that side, it's going to lose traction, this bottom wheel's stopped and the vehicle's going to stop. We engage the diff lock, You can see on the dash it's showing the diff lock symbol across the rear diff, and now it's pushing the drive back evenly through both wheels, pushing the drive onto that bottom wheel. It's got all the load on it and just keeps the truck moving just like that. Now a lot of people think, oh, anytime they get into a sticky situation off-road, engage the diff lock, engage the diff lock. No, you should only engage the diff lock in a situation where you've got that variable traction from side to side. If you're on a very slippery, muddy bank or sand or something like that where all four wheels are spinning anyway because there's no traction on any of them, the diff lock can't do anything for you. It's specifically for situations where you've got variable traction from one side of the vehicle to the other. It does have some negatives. It's going to try and drive that vehicle straight ahead. When you've got both wheels, back wheels locked and turning at the same speed, it's going to tend to drive that vehicle straight ahead, particularly if you put your foot down. So if you've got in a situation where you need to be turning tightly and weaving around obstacles and you engage the diff lock, it's going to stop you from being able to negotiate those obstacles quite the same as you can without it. So only use it when you really need it, when you need to even the traction up from one side of the vehicle to the other, and if you suddenly need to do a tight turn, disengage the diff lock and button the power off a bit. Otherwise you won't be able to do the manoeuvre.
So if you're in the market for a new ute or want something custom built like we have here for NZ Hunter, come and see our friendly team at Trucks and Trailers.